Hello everybody, welcome back. How long have I been wanting to do the Slytherin common room? My gosh, it's been on the list since the very start of the Hogwarts build, and unfortunately, it's all the way down in the dungeon, so it took a while to get to it. And then in the same theme, it took a really long time to build it. I feel a bit biased, if I'm being completely honest. I am a Slytherin myself, by nature, and I feel like I really put the extra effort into the Slytherin common room, but I feel like I'm justified in that Slytherins just, I don't know, look, they're all the way down in the dungeon, and I feel a bit bad for them, and we deserve nice things, and we're meant to be, like the pureblood house and everything, so I feel like there's no way that Salazar Slytherin would build us a mediocre common room and let us live there. I feel like the Slytherin common room is always going to be the secretly really fancy posh one, and we're such all snobs and everything. But so that's the way the Slytherin common room went. It took ages, just because it was so complex, top to bottom. Like, I started this build, and then it just kept evolving and evolving. I was playing with levels. I wanted there to be 2 entrances, one on top, one on the bottom, and there's one in the dungeons, one in the level on top, leading down from the circular room, and then there's also, I wanted there to be for whatever reason, I was really passionate about there being swans and a lake in the Slytherin common room, as if that's normal in any stretch of the imagination. But there is. I added one in, and I thought it really worked. It took me a while and a lot of fiddling, because I did have limited space, unfortunately. I've put aside room for the common room for ages, and I feel like I was really actually still limited by how much I wanted to do, but by far and wide, they do have the most space of all the common rooms. Like, the poor Gryffindors, I'm still going on about them, I'm so sorry, but the poor Gryffindors got screwed over a bit because their common room is so small, and the Slytherins just have like this multi-level 3-story beautiful sprawling thing that's all dusky and mysterious, and it's got a pond, and it's got multiple rooms, and it's got more than one bathroom. So yeah, I'll admit I was a bit biased. I really put the effort into the Slytherin one. But it was super annoying because the levels and the staircases and all of the pillars and everything, it was really hard to just work around each other, especially when it came to putting in staircases from each level, because the staircases leading down from the top level to the middle level, pain in the ass. Just top to bottom, could not fit them in. I left it too late, and then I've wondered where to put it, and then I had to fit it in. And then the stairs from the middle level to the bottom level, I put in really early on, but for some reason, when I finally finished Hogwarts, when I started the Hogwarts build, I made it so that the whole build was backwards, because I was building it in the magical realm in the HQ, and for whatever reason, it just had trees in the way and on the outside of the building lot, and so I thought, alright, I'll build it backwards, and then when I'm done, I'll flip it back around, that way I can actually see what I'm doing. Big mistake. I'm never doing that again, I swear to goodness, because it really tripped me up. I had to spend like a couple hours just every time I flipped this build back around. You'd think it'd be a simple thing, but because it's so big, and it's like $3.7 million in Sims money, it's got a lot of stuff in it. So every time I flip it around, it would just go crazy, and my computer didn't like it. And unfortunately, back to my point, all the staircases would get really weird, and they'd either get weird or they'd delete themselves. So in the end, I just had to flip the build and redo every single staircase within Hogwarts, and it was such a pain. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, oh, it was awful, because I had to like move stuff out of the way. You get it. But anyway, the stairs, big pain in the ass. Never doing that again. I've learnt my lesson. So back to the Slytherin common room. Isn't it fancy? Oh my god. I went in and I did these really custom wall fixtures. Like, I combined 2 wall lights and I made them match in colour. There it is, I'm doing it now. And I just love it so much, and I did it throughout the whole build, and it was so sweet, and I feel like I wanted to move away from the gold tones for the Slytherin common room, just because I felt like gold was a bit too cheerful and a bit too Gryffindor. So we're moving away from the gold. It's more of a brushed bronze now, but it's still dark and moody. And then, of course, one of my favourite things about this build, which I was really excited for, were the windows. I was able to place pools of water surrounding most of the common room on the middle level, and then I actually put in windows. I turned the water green, and it's sort of a stand-in for the Great Lake, which I thought was really fun. However, I couldn't put pools of water surrounding the whole common room because you can't stack pools up one on top of the other. You can't build on top of them, so it really had to be a select level where I could have that. But eventually I do just say, you know what? Screw it, I'm just going to put windows in, even if it looks out into the void, and we're just going to pretend it's the Great Lake, okay? Another really hard thing was lighting this lot, because I went in and I wanted it to be dark and moody, but I knew I wanted to pitch a few of the lights within the Slytherin common room green, just to give it that Slytherin green effect. And I actually go through and I do this with the whole dungeon. However, it's really important in the Slytherin common room that this is done correctly. So I just felt like I needed to light the space very specifically. As you can see, I did size up the fireplace. I wanted it to be grand and elegant and luxurious, and even though it's really, really, really big, I feel like it still fits, you know? Now with the pond, I tried my best. I was going for something and I feel like I did succeed, because, you know, you don't want it to look silly either. Then you've got a pond in a common room, so, you know, you have to sort of make it look correct. So you have to give it the right amount of elegance and luxury that it deserves. So it's got marble fittings surrounding it. It's got the nice tiles on the bits that are in the pool area. I do go in, I put in greenery, and I put in sculptures, and I even put in like a water fountain and some swans. Swans were a surprise to me as well. I wasn't planning on putting in swans in the Slytherin common room, but I put them in and I'm like, yeah, that fits. So now we have swans in the Slytherin common room. And I have no regrets about that. So what we're doing is we're going through, and this build just took so long because I was so determined to get every aspect of it correct. But at the end, I feel like I've got a really nice product, and really just focusing on the furnishing. I wanted it dark, and I wanted it emerald green, and I wanted lots of brushed gold and mirrors and glass effect with a lot of really dark wood tones. I didn't want any warm wood tones, and we just sort of go from there, and it comes out absolutely beautiful. Another fun thing I did with my build is that I made sure that Snape's office actually connects to the Slytherin common room. Look, Snape and Minerva are the only ones that really got offices in terms of head of houses. I'm afraid the others missed out on that particular one. And I feel bad, but not too bad, because I was running low on creative energy at this point in the build. Like, once I got down to the dungeons, I was crawling, but I was still really happy that I was able to give Snape a connecting office to his Slytherin common room, so he could keep an eye on the kids. I feel like he'd rule with an iron fist, but he would have a massive soft spot for his Slytherins. So yeah, I feel like even though they're the house of the cunning and everything, they sort of stick together, you know, and I just like that about the Slytherins. I'm so proud to be a Slytherin, honestly, and I just love their common room so much. When I was initially doing the thinking about what the Slytherin common room would go into and what would it represent, I suppose, my ideas were that it would be very elegant and just expansive. And I think the reason I wanted it to be a bit more expansive was because that Slytherin within the canon of the story is a little bit of the outcast house. So they're not really invited to social events or anything. Well, you know what? They're not the first people you invite to stuff. I'll say that. And so I feel like Slytherins stick together, and that's partly by design their own fault. If they stick together, they're not going to make friends, etc., etc. So I wanted to give them a space where they could retreat to, I suppose. I don't feel like Slytherins would hang out very, very much outside their common room, outside of classes and meals and maybe going on Hogsmeade weekends and everything. I feel like their common room would definitely be a bit more of a safe haven compared to other houses. So I feel like I wanted it to be very expansive. So within the common room, you do have a main area, you have the pond area, but you also have multiple nooks and crannies of just extra stuff. So you've got a grand piano for one, for activities, and then you've just got multiple sitting areas, and you've got a study nook, you've got a little lounge area, and then I think upstairs in that upper level, I do utilize it a little bit more. I give it another study area, and I believe a little like a meeting room. It's like a boardroom with a circular table, and people come in and they have little meetings and everything. I feel like Slytherin House would be the first house to have like inner house meetings of like, all right, everyone, we've got stuff to discuss. How are we going to piss off Harry Potter this week? And everyone just sort of rolls their eyes at Draco. So yeah, I also give them multiple bathrooms just because I honestly have the space and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this room because I better just make it a bathroom. But yeah, so I just tried to make it as absolutely elegant as I possibly could. Lots of blacks and brushed golds and everything, and lots of chandeliers and plants. But honestly, I feel like all my common rooms are nice and grand. I just feel like the difference between the Slytherin common room is it's a lot bigger. And I feel like because I was building within the basement level, I did have a lot of space to go around. So I thought, you know what, let's just fill it. There is an unfortunate thing that happened in that you've probably seen me place down all these absolutely beautiful portraits that I got off the gallery. And they're sort of custom, you know, some of them are of the founder, I believe one or two is of Albus, and then the rest are just basic wizards in frames. And I absolutely loved them. They were a bit weird color-wise, but you know what, they worked. And unfortunately, when it came time to upload to the gallery, it would not let me upload to the gallery with this many custom portraits in the build. So I actually had to go out and delete all of them. And I'm so sad about it, honestly. Like, I didn't even look, there was so many within the build, and I was sat there and it loaded for like 2 hours just to upload it to the gallery. And it didn't even work. I think it crashed the game. And I'm like, I didn't actually know what was wrong at the time. And I really just wanted to upload to the gallery and get it out to everybody. But I was really running into a massive roadblock. But I loved the idea of that every single common room would have a portrait of its founder within its walls, and I really love that idea. Unfortunately, I did have to go back and I sort of had to substitute certain portraits, like all the custom ones had to be removed and replaced. Even the fat lady outside the Gryffindor common room, I am heartbroken. But you know what, we have to do what we have to do, and I feel like, yes, the build is still absolutely beautiful even without the custom portraits. So we just moved on from that, but yeah, quietly devastated over here. Now, the third level of the Slytherin common room. vast, as always. It's got some underwater lake surrounding and some other that it's just manufactured. And then it's mostly 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a little mini sitting area below the staircases, and a lot of hallway too. So I tried to put as much detail as I possibly could within this area, because by this point I was crawling in terms of creativity. I was like, I want it done. This build has taken so long, I am tired, but I still wanted to give it the absolute grandeur that I'd given the rest of Hogwarts. So we dug deep and we got there. So first of all, I'm putting in all the columns. I'm actually a bit ashamed to say that I put in so many columns into the Hogwarts build. Like, it's a $3.5 million build, and majority of that, I am convinced, is the amount of columns that I put in. The columns and the suits of armor, that's what's brought the budget up. So yeah, but you know what, I just feel like columns and stuff like that just fill the space and give it a real authenticity and a little just intricacy. And I feel like a wall or a corner without a column on it is useless to me, so I'm not going to do that. It's just the way I build. So I'm going through and I am digging deep, and I'm trying to make the hallways in every single room as intricate as the 2 floors above. And I feel like I got there, but at the end I did actually just make 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, and I just copied them over to the other areas and adjusted. And this is the bathroom, and it's a little bathroom. It does have showers in it, so it's got toilets, it got showers, and I feel like that's the extent of the Slytherin luxury. Like, I can't give them private en-suites, that would be too far, but I did give them some public bathrooms that are still very, very fancy. Now, with the dormitories, I gave them double beds. I'm sorry. I had so much space to work with, and I hadn't used this bed yet. And it's an emerald green curtain bed. Are you kidding me? It's perfect. So I gave them double beds, and the emerald ones from the magic pack. And yes, the bed is like a little bit cheerful in terms of its wood tone, but it's emerald green, and I was like, just do it. Like, you're gonna have too much space if you try and do single beds for every single room, and there's gonna be like 24 beds if you try and just use single beds, like 4 in every room. So just do it. So we've got 8 double beds, pardon me, 8, yes, 8 double beds within these Slytherin common rooms. I'm sorry again, yes, but you know what, it fills the space, and I thought it turned out so lovely. And I love the windows out into the void, or the water area. I think it's still such a cool effect, just because the Slytherin common room does back onto the Great Lake, so I thought that was a really nice effect. If I ever do go back and plop this Hogwarts build on a 64 by 64 lot, even then I don't think I'm going to be able to do the Great Lake, because I just don't know where I'd put it. I'd be too busy expanding out the Dark Forest and Hagrid's hut and the Whomping Willow and everything in the Quidditch pitch. I need to prioritize. So yeah, just adding in some suits of armor, and really, that is it. Oh, I love her so much. She's gorgeous, and I love her. But that is my Slytherin common room dorm build. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it does it justice to all my fellow Slytherins. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the build. I hope you have a lovely day, and bye-bye!